Good evening, class. Dr. DeVita. This is Eddie Knighton with the Module 3 initial response video. Um, Hoping I'm doing this right because I did do the readings, but it just kind of made me think about a few other things as opposed to just going through and bullet pointing the readings that I want to talk about. I remember when I first started thinking of myself as a feminist. It was around 2006. I read a book by Karen Armstrong and also a book by Michel Foucault, The History of Sexuality. But it's the book, A Short History of Myth, being that I'm a history person, that really opened my eyes. In Karen Armstrong's A Short History of Myth, she suggests that once upon a time, we worshipped and celebrated goddesses, goddesses of the earth, in the earth, and the goddesses of life and birth, of fertility, of the rabbit and the egg. During spring when all was renewed, we began to plant crops. We saw the crops annually coming back. Childbirth at this point was truly miraculous. So we worship goddesses. We revered our women and their sexualities as they are the bringer of life. Armstrong even suggests that some primitive societies were equal, and that in some instances even matriarchal. Then what happened is we started planting things during the agricultural revolution. Then we needed more territory, so therefore we needed war, and the more territory we got, we now needed free labor, so we needed more war. So we began to replace the feminine goddesses of the earth with the sky gods, such as Orion and Woden and Ares, which would become Mars, and Thor, which is Thursday. And then came Yahweh, aka God. He was a war god. He created Adam in his image. He was given Eve because he was bored. She messed up, deceived Adam. Now we have to work, toil, and die, and women have painful childbirths. In other words, the war gods of the sky killed the goddesses of the earth. Masculinity killed femininity, and now we have patriarchy. I've been a feminist pretty much ever since I've read that, because the statistics are real. Definitely don't have time to sit here and read all of these off. I'm just trying to hyperbolically illustrate the fact that, men are violent. In fact, I don't even understand why women like and humor men. I asked my wife why, and she gave one reason that I can't talk about here, but I will openly admit that for the most part, men are truly horrible. The statistics are undeniable. We kill, we rape, we go to war. In fact, historically speaking, since we developed civilizations, you couldn't see my air quotes, and large standing army, men's payment for going to war for the majority of history was to kill, rape, and steal, all under the virtue of being honorable and manly. Men objectify and commodify women. I even think that for the most part, most men even hate women. At the very least, there's no way that you can say that most men respect women. This is all true. Yet, however, despite all of this, women still love us and procreate with us. I don't really get it. It's like one big cosmic domestically abusive relationship that never ends. I'm actually more passionate about the subject of feminism and sexism than I am about most things in terms of social justice. But I guess I do need to verify that I did the readings here at the 4-minute mark. They talked about how gender is a social construction. Gender roles are based on heteronormativity. And for this, in terms of gender, masculine and feminine roles are diametrically opposed, which means, masculine is strong, feminine is weak. And then it discusses the creation and maintenance of socially constructed gender roles through the use of violence and punishing people who deny it or oppose it. We see this process unfolding in most of the gender or social justice models between the oppressors and the oppressed. So this is almost like Mad Lib in terms of that formula. However, this all accumulates into what is called the patriarchy, which is a system and ideology that supports the dominance of men and the oppression of women at all levels of society. And it's stratified within classes, even amongst lower class people, the men still have a higher position in society than the women. Where the reading shines for me is masculinity. It talks about masculinity as men's need for approval of other men, how homophobia is the fear that other men will unmask us, emasculate us, reveal to us and the world that we don't measure up, that we are not real men. Therefore, men are violent. Hence all that stuff I started talking about at the beginning of the video. And in order to be manly and alpha males, this affects everything we wear, everything we talk, how we eat, our mannerisms. Hence this picture here. This may be surprising, but I perceive myself as relatively enlightened. However, I don't do feminine things. I play heavy metal. All my guitars are solid black. I don't wear pink, the occasional salmon, even though women make fun of me. And I used to drive a VW Beetle, even though, women made fun of that. But in short, the readings did a somewhat painfully good job at explaining masculinity and, men's monkey brains. I'm going to end it here because I didn't time this right. I had a whole section about bell hooks. Read bell hooks when I was in undergraduate. She is an absolutely wonderful thinker, and I love the way that she describes feminism, and I do hope that someone talks about that or we talk about it in class. Thank you.